first story is titled, Update. Am I the a-hole for pouring my husband's sweet tea down the drain? Original story. I lost my part-time job due to COVID and I've basically become a little housewife. I'm fine with that, as that's always been my role in my relationship anyways. It's just less hard to keep up with now. I'm also in school for nursing, but obviously I'm doing that from home. My husband works full-time and works hard. His commute to work is very long, over an hour each way. We go running together every day, and because I know it's a lot of stress for him, we meet 20 minutes away from our home so he doesn't have to come home and drive back out. He calls me when he's 20 minutes away and I leave. Today, I was 7 minutes late as I had to turn off all the lights and get myself together before leaving the house. When I got there, he coped a major attitude with me for being late. Refused to even speak to me. For being 7 minutes late. I tried to explain that I had to put my shoes on and turn out the lights, but he wouldn't talk to me. The run was very awkward, and when we got home, he said that he felt he had every right to be angry and stomped off upstairs. I've had a lot of pent-up feelings about the fact that he has always expected me to be at his beck and call. It's like he thinks the whole world revolves around his time schedule because I lost my job. Anytime he's hungry, thirsty, he yells my name. He doesn't even serve his own plates anymore. It's like he thinks I just sit in the dark with my hands folded, waiting for him to call. At this point, I knew he was being ridiculous, and I was just so upset that I did something that may make me the a-hole. When he came downstairs, I told him that he could make his own dinner, his own lunch tomorrow for work, and I looked him straight in the eyes. I poured a pitcher of sweet tea I make him every week down the drain. And I said, "You can make your own freaking sweet tea too, you ungrateful brat." And I walked out and drove to my mom's house. So, am I the a-hole for that overreaction? I was just so annoyed. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. I felt like the everybody sucks crowd had a point, until I saw he's 31 and you're 19, and he specifically wanted a housewife. Look, age gap relationships can work out fine and be perfectly healthy, provided the older partner treads with care. He has an obligation to be especially mindful, patient, kind, and to make your needs and comfort the focus of the relationship. He should be letting you guide everything, following your lead, and not concerning himself with what he wants. Otherwise, he's just an exploitative creep. No. 19 and 31 is never gonna be okay. That means at 30 he went out and found a girl that was legal by the skin of her teeth and married her as fast as he could. That is so deeply not okay. I mean, clearly this dude was looking for a hot young bang maid, but I don't see any scenario where a 30-year-old can go after an 18-year-old without being a creep. Typically when people do creepy stuff like that, it's because they can't get a person in their own age group, because there is something troubling about them. It sounds like this dude has major low self-esteem and insecurity issues. I am a year younger than this guy. I would run for the hills once I saw a red flag that intense. Same with the expecting a subservient housewife. Okay, so there's a lot here. Girl, you're 19. You and this man are not equals. He thinks of you more as a maid than as a partner, and that's not going to change. You've got a whole life to live, and you can't limit yourself to serving an older man who doesn't care about you forever. Leave. Find a job, even a crappy one for now. Find local food pantries. If you can't afford a cheap place right now, try to stay with friends. You are worth so much more than this. Nothing wrong with being a housewife, but only in a fair partnership, which this is clearly not. Go live your life, not a hole. Please leave before he locks you down with babies. I was going to say you probably overreacted a little bit, but then I saw that you are 19 and is 31. Of course you overreacted. You were still just a kid at that point, who was spotted by a 30-year-old man as being vulnerable. He has groomed you and placed you in exactly the position he wanted. A young girl he can sleep with and keep tied to the house and to him. He got mad about 7 minutes because he is training you to be scared of letting him down at all, or be even 7 minutes late to something. So by getting angry, he expected you to roll over like the dog he thinks you are and beg for forgiveness. It must have been a shock to him that you didn't do that. And I'm honestly very concerned about you going back to that house where he could possibly punish you. Please be careful. Now for a little update. I deleted my edits because I wanted to do an update, as I see a lot of kind, wonderful people so concerned about my well-being. I want to thank each and every one of you for being so supportive. I don't have any friends anymore, and all the messages and comments have made me feel like I have a support group. For now, I'm staying at my parents' indefinitely. My mom is helping me write a list of all the reasons I'd want to stay and all the reasons I'd like to leave. I have always been a very independent person, and I think I've been lying to myself about my situation for a long time. I called him to tell him I wouldn't be coming home, and he didn't really seem to care much, which did hurt a lot. Either way, I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to get my degree. For those of you concerned about kids, don't worry, I have an IUD. Again, thank you all so much. Your love and support means more to me than I can express. Now for a full update. So, it's been a few days since my original post. Everyone was so kind, helpful, and supportive. I received so many messages, and I want to thank each one of you for them. They meant more to me than you know. Well, I've left my husband, and it really wasn't over this one incident, but really a buildup of many. Before I even made a post, I wasn't completely blind to what he had been doing in terms of control. As weird as it seems, sometimes I just forget I am an adult, and I don't have to just yes sir and listen to any man that's older than me. I'm an adult now. I make my own rules. I feel sick saying this, but I realize I had been viewing him as a parental figure and not a partner. It kind of makes my stomach twist to even type that, but that is what it is. I don't really want to analyze it right now. It's too gross. I'm honestly going through a really tough grieving time right now. I feel like such a failure. What's worse is that he does not care in the least. When I called him to tell him I was leaving, he said, "Okay, let me know when you want to grab your stuff. We can have you moved out ASAP." And that was it. That was all he said before he hung up the phone. I'm really hurting. I loved him so much, and I think part of me just wanted to see if he was willing to fight for me and apologize. He was not, so that's that. But although I'm hurting, I feel free. My mom has welcomed me back. She's so happy I am divorcing him. I got together with my friends who he wouldn't let me see. I watched TV shows he told me were too childish. And I've been wearing ugly sweatpants and oversized t-shirts that he always said made me look like a man. So thank you, all of you. I got a wake-up call I desperately needed. I don't even want to be a housewife. I never wanted that for me. No hate on anyone who does. Honestly, guys, it was hard and lonely work. I'm going to be a registered nurse and then move on to my master's. You've all encouraged me in the best way possible. Now for some top comments. Oof, I was just about to ask what the age difference was. Female 19, male 31? Thank God you hadn't invested more time in that relationship. I'm so glad to hear you're starting to find your way to a better place. Bruh, and they're married. That means he knew her before. What the hell? That creepy cheap a-hole. Instead of paying for a goddamn housekeeper, he hung around high school kids to nab himself a housemate he could sleep with. When someone who is 31 is dating/married to a literal teenager, it's because no one within their generation could stand them. You are so much not a failure for leaving. It's great that you recognized the abuse and removed yourself from that situation. As for his reaction, he's trying to trigger you into going back to beg for his love. It's just more manipulation. All the best to you. Thank you. I have already made a decision to not see him unless my parents are with me, just in case I have a moment of weakness. Every day is getting easier. Good for you. Please get legal advice now before you move your stuff/return the key, especially if the house is marital property. Not a lawyer. Not sure if it matters, but I would want to check with a lawyer first for that very reason. Don't let him get out of this marriage with more than his share just because it's easier now. You may regret it later, and you deserve to start this new phase of your life with your head held high. He is very much about appearances, so most likely the divorce will be quiet. I don't think he'd try to pull any spiteful moves, especially since he loves his reputation. The next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that it is ridiculous to complain about my mom playing favorites? My mom and my wife do not like each other." I'll assign 60% of the blame to my mom because she is difficult, and 40% to my wife because she escalates things. I get that isn't how life works, but I'm just trying to explain that they have been both horrible to each other. My mom wants very low contact with my wife and tries to see me when she isn't around. My mom said when my wife was pregnant, to me in private, that she knew we would probably keep the baby from her if she didn't work in things with my wife. I said I didn't like her phrasing, but yes, if you can't respect the mother, don't expect much of a relationship. My mom said then that is her choice, and she doesn't want much of a relationship. My wife sees my mom about once a month. My mom is nice and polite to my son, now 5, but not really interested, never offers to babysit or asks about him when he isn't around. My mom has a 6-year-old with my stepdad, and my wife has always claimed she favors her. I mean, it's her daughter. In my opinion, she is allowed to care more about her own daughter than someone else's kid. My wife complains that my mom is very maternal and affectionate with my sister but shows little interest in our son. She brought it up at lunch the other day with her parents, who hate my mom, and said it is ridiculous that she considers it favoritism when one is her child and the other one isn't. My mother-in-law called me cold and insensitive and said she loves our son just as much as my wife or her brother. I mean, I was raised by someone who is proud of being cold, so maybe I am. My wife got mad at me in private for calling her ridiculous and also said my opinion is wrong and I should be more worried about this favoritism. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. Wife. I don't want your mom to have a close relationship with our child. Your mom. Okay. Wife. Shocked Pikachu face. Also, what on earth? Your wife thinks your mom should treat her own daughter, who she has a responsibility for, the same as her grandchild? She's being ridiculous. Reading the post again, it seems like the mom preemptively decided to not have a close relationship with her grandson because she didn't want to get along with Opie's wife. That doesn't change the fact that a mother has more responsibility to her own child than the children of others, but the cold relationship towards her grandson appears to be 100% the mom's doing. Let me make sure I have this straight from you, Opie, in the comments. 1. Your wife regularly tries to goad your mother into reacting by rubbing on your mom without her consent after being repeatedly asked to stop, as well as pulls childish pranks like licking cakes your mom was making for someone else. You find this behavior acceptable because your mom's general demeanor is sulky and aloof. 2. Your mom asks about how she will be able to have a relationship with your son given how things are with your wife. You told her to not expect a relationship with your son unless your mother respected your wife, who repeatedly violates your mom's boundaries and assaults her. 3. Your mom recognizes that both you and your wife are clearly using your son as a power play. She decides not to play your game, accepts the fact that she won't have a relationship with your son, and then behaves accordingly. 4. Your mom has her hands full with a 6-year-old child already, and you are upset she doesn't offer to babysit your son? The person neither you nor your wife want him to have a relationship with because your mom won't put up with your wife's BS. 5. You get together with your wife and her parents where criticism of your mom is an acceptable topic of discussion. When you do decide to pipe up, it is only to say that it is ridiculous to complain that your mom would care more about her own child than her grandchild, completely ignoring the actual reason why your mom doesn't have a relationship with your son. 6. Your wife, backed up by her parents, has found a new angle to criticize your mom and is now goading you into addressing this favoritism. Everyone sucks here. Your wife for regularly assaulting your mom and being a bully. You for acting like actions don't have consequences and letting your mom bear the brunt of your wife's shenanigans, particularly with acting like the favoritism is merely biological instead of a direct result of your actions. Your mom for being so petty about the relationship barrier that she won't even ask about how your son is doing and is purposely cold towards a 5-year-old who can't understand adult relationship dynamics. Your mother-in-law for the one-upping. You all sound exhausting. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for rudely correcting my husband's friend after he repeatedly called me his girlfriend? So I will start this off by saying my husband and I got engaged and married young. We've been married 4 months. I'm 22 and he's 24, and we got engaged at 20 and 22. Throughout our engagement, people always downplayed it acted like it wasn't a real engagement, and people were surprised when we announced we had gotten married. I always felt like people thought we weren't a serious couple, so it's definitely a sore spot for me, and it still is. Which is why I think I could be the a-hole here because I'm being sensitive. I recently encouraged my husband to make more friends, and after a while of talking to this guy, we decided to go on a double date. The guy's girlfriend couldn't come, so it was just us and him, which is awkward. He starts asking questions about us and repeatedly refers to me as my husband's girlfriend. Both my husband and I corrected him a couple times, and he would apologize but keep doing it. Finally, after a few times I go, "Dude, I'm not his freaking girlfriend, I am his wife." And I flash both our wedding rings. We soon say goodbye after that, and he texts my husband and says he doesn't think they were compatible and that I was really rude. My husband isn't mad at me, but he is disappointed and I feel bad. I should have just kept my mouth shut. That's why I feel like I'm the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Meh, sounds like he had it coming. Weird that he kept using the word girlfriend and not, your name, when you were both at the table. Was he ignoring you and speaking directly to your husband? Does your girlfriend want to order an appetizer, etc.? That is exactly it. He never directly spoke to me. Well, bullet dodged. Not the a-hole. This seems like some passive-aggressive behavior to me. It's not like he knew you guys as boyfriend and girlfriend. You just met him. So he's only known you as married, was introduced to you as married. It's really weird to constantly refer to you as girlfriend when he just met you as a wife. I know I have an issue with my boyfriend's friends that are similar. I have been with him almost a decade, and anytime I'm around and someone new comes around, I'm introduced as ex's girlfriend. And I'm like, please guys, it's been a decade. I have a name. We don't hang out with them anymore though, so we see where that got them. Lol. Not the a-hole. I hate people who think that just because someone gets married/engaged young, like, yeah, sure, they're like 21 to 24, but like, just let them get married if they love each other. Jeez. Sorry you had to deal with that, OP. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.